we still have on our trial balance that June 30th, 2023, that will not be updated until the auditors approve our financials for the year 2024, and then we'll update that column.
When are they coming in?
Well, actually, they're going to work remote,
Okay.
August the 26th, a week from this coming Monday.
And do you have some additional caffeine and Tylenol on site here?
We're going to be well ready
Okay.
for them when they.
All right.
We always have caffeine, sir.
That's true.
So the past few years, they have worked remote. We give them access to the system. They have view-only permissions
Of course,
into the system.
right, yeah.
They generally take one day and go to Teamwork Services to do payroll and HR. They
Right.
will be on site for that. Outside of that,
And can they generate reports from our system, or do we need to generate the reports for them? Are they just pretty much viewing information?
they can pull, they do have access to follow a requisition to a purchase order, to an invoice, to a check. But if they're looking for specific reports on fixed assets, they'll reach out to us and have us do that.
Right.
But they take our trial balance and upload it into their system and
Right.
do all of their reconciliations that way, or their testing.
Okay.
And there are a lot of different reports and other items that they provide us a list of what they want ahead of time.
Okay, right.
Start working on gathering and submitting those things.
Right, and then you could send them PDFs and we're done.
PDFs, Excel spreadsheets,
Yeah.
links to our minutes on the BGJWSC website,
Right,
a whole lot of
okay.
They have a site called SureLink that they put up our engagement on that, and then we go there and they'll give us a list of what they want. We upload it to that site. They give us
okay.
messages back for additional information.
Right.
That's how we work. So the process works. Cash and cash equivalents, $4,682,398. Intergovernmental receivables, that is 0 for July 31st. We book them for June 30th, and then as they come in, we'll reverse those in the current year. Please note, we have entered a new intergovernmental receivable that you'll see show up. We have the UV grant through the state of Georgia. We had submitted that pay request prior to June 30th. It was about a week ago maybe that we got those funds, so that's $874,000. So you will see that as a new line item for revenue and a receivable that will show up in there. We also have 2 SPLOST receivables, and we have to book those each year, and then we reverse them out as they come in. We are currently working on the unbilled revenue, so within the next week we'll have that entry in. Down to the capital assets, on our fixed assets, it says for July 31st, $163,917,000. That has changed already. It has actually moved back to, as of June 30th, $164,500. We capitalized some pumps, portable pumps that were part of Project 801 because they were in use as of June 30th. So we had to back those out. And we also had to reclassify something. We'll get onto that in a little while.
This is no generators, not pumps.
Generators. Thank you. He is correct. It is the portable generators. I apologize for that.
We bought portable pumps, I don't know what happened.
Generators. It is generators. On down to our current liabilities. We are still working on accrued payroll, vacation, liabilities for June 30th. For our accrued liabilities, that is made up of FICA health insurance, deferred compensation, vision, life, short-term disabilities, those type things. Short-term portion of debt, $2.2 million. That is our bond, current portion of our bond, current portion of our VACON, and our copier lease. And our copier lease, that will conclude in April of this year, I believe. For our long-term debt, our capital leases, that $899,000, that is for the other 3 years left on our VACON. In In September, we will have our second payment on the backbone trucks. And then we'll reclassify 1 year of long-term into short-term. Page 2. Under other liabilities, we have our customer deposits payable, a little over 3.1 million. We currently have over 15,800 deposits on file that make up that. So not all of our customers are required to have a deposit depending on their good standing. Landlords that may have multiple accounts and, that type of thing. But
So
of
how
that,
many did you say?
About 15,000 have.
So about half.
15,800.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Any questions on the balance sheet? On to page 3, please. Our summary reports. Our operating revenues, over projected budget by 615,000. I did not use a 4-year percentage on this at this time. I just did the 1/12 allocation because we had not yet calculated the other. But interest income is what's driving that. It was over the projected budget about 356,000. So that brings our net revenue at this time to over budget by $500,000. But again, those numbers will change because we're still in process of doing June's and July's numbers.
Right.
On to page 4. Expenses, operating revenue, again, we're over budget, but that's also because of those purchase orders. We did roll forward the purchase orders that were still in effect on June 30th. So we roll over the encumbrance, but not the budget.
Okay.
So we did a cutoff on expenses, any of that, the end of July, anything left at that time. And a lot of those are just daily operational things that they put in, like June the 15th for paving, that type, knowing it's not going to be completed, but they've got the requisition in, the purchase order, and they're waiting for the work to be done or the products to be received.
I've got a question. When you near the end of the fiscal year, is there policy here that would prevent people from buying or making purchases, or restricting any purchases at all?
We try to minimize that as much as possible. But there are operating
Right, yeah.
things that need to go
I
forward.
mean, non-essential things.
Right, non-essential
Yes.
things essentially, we don't try to purchase at the end of the year, non-essential things, particularly things that have long lead time. Some of the things that get rolled over are things we ordered in December that just haven't arrived yet.
Right, yeah.
And again, mention that at the bottom, I'm sorry, and I should have mentioned this on the previous page, for the SPLOST, we do have to book 2 months of receivables for SPLOST. SPLOST money received in May that was sent to the state in June and distributed back out to the county in July. We get that check in July, we have to book that as receivable. Also, funds received in June that are sent to the state in July and dispersed back out in August. We have received both of those. With those 2 checks, our total year collections for SPLOST was a little shy of 3.5 million, so 3,481,000. With last year's 3 plus this fiscal year 24, that brought our total to just a little shy of 4.4 million of our 15.
Good.
And you said 15 is our projection?
For the
13
SPLOST.
tier 1, 2 tier 2.
I gotcha.
So I think our portion is 12.5% after the city gets their portion. Any questions on expenses? Move on to cash balances. As mentioned on the balance sheet, our cash and cash equivalents 4.6. This gives the breakdown. Our group insurance normally at 50,000. We did have to book a payable for that for almost 10. Usually in August to September, if there's any adjustments that need to be made to that minimum balance, we'll know in the next month. That originally started out 40, and then they upped it to 50, so depending on, we may see a slight increase in that. On the elective reserves at the bottom on the R&R, forgot to change the fund amount for fiscal year 25. It still says 8.117 million for fiscal year 24. The fiscal year 25 amount is $8,994,081, I believe, or $800, almost $9 million. Page 6 of that. We have our construction fund, still over, a little over 7.3. There will be a draw hopefully done by the end of the week. That will bring that total to a little below 7 million.
So that's the 400,000.
Yes, yes, and that's through June, and I'll have to book that as an entry, then calculate any July, but we didn't have any movement on July that's recorded at this time. Again, because the project work was done prior to June, we'll have to submit that.
And on that point, on the bond funding, that, new elevator tank is they're scheduled to be here the first week of September. So, we'll start seeing some larger payouts come through for that as well. So those funds should be drawn down rather quickly.
Total, funds at the bottom, 79,170,000. 53.6 of that is in investments. We did have difficulty doing an extract on our investment portfolio numbers there, so we'll get that to you next month. We were able to do our monthly entries, just not to get the extract to pull correctly. Page 7. Our cash project report. It's going to look slightly different with a little bit of a recalculation on it. We found out this year that, first off, we had the Academy Creek plant capitalized, but the loan is not closed. So the DW project, that loan closed out. We capitalized the meter project, but we hadn't done anything with the expenses of the interest. So we found out that GASB Statement 89, we now have to record expense as the interest as an expense, not part of the capitalized project. So that started in 2020. So we had been capturing those costs on the project report. So we will have to redo the project report to take it out as part of the CIP, but we still need to capture it as part of the R&R reserve funding. So you may see a little different look to that. So that's the biggest part of that there. For fiscal year 24, we did just a little less than 18 million in cost. But through July, with what we were able to record at the time of this, a little less than 300,000 of new work has been done on our projects. Any questions on project report or the financial statements?
No questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. I believe we are finished, right? Does anyone have any more they need to add? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.